Good day, morning or afternoon, PC Master Race. I have got a build for you today, and this build is pretty much the sweet spot for 1080p gaming. When I say sweet spot, I mean this thing will max out 1080p on almost every game, 60 frames per second, at like a very decent setting, normally high or ultra, for as little money as possible. The whole thing is going to cost about £450 UK, and it's really going to be a bare bones system, no frills, no anything on the side. It's just solely for gaming. And honestly, I think if more people got rid of the distractions in their first build, it would be a better build and they'd be a bit more happy with the end result. So let's get into this. The CPU is the Intel Core i3-4160. This thing's clocked at 3.6 GHz. It's a dual core, hyper-threaded, and it's, if as many of you know, an i3 isn't as good as an i5, but it's almost as good as an i5. And the reason I've picked this last gen processor is because it's £50 on eBay. Yeah, that is crazy. Considering a new i5 at the moment, a 6400, is about 160 quid in the UK. That's less than a third of the price. This is the only used part of the whole bundle, so take that into account. PC parts, bit risky to buy second hand, but CPUs last for a long time and they very rarely fail. So that's where we're going to be saving a bulk of our money. The motherboard is just a standard H81M P33 Micro ATX from MSI. This thing's 36 quid. It's pretty bare bones. It's just got input output. You've got the standard sort of IO, and you're probably not going to be running dual monitors and stuff like that. You may have to buy a wireless card, but solid, standard and reliable motherboard. The memory is going to be from Kingston, 8 gigs, 2 4 gig DIMMs. It's just standard memory, 1866. This stuff will get you through pretty much any game, any workload. It might drop off tiny amounts of like sort of frames per second on games like Ashes of the Singularity, but I wouldn't worry. As a sort of introductory 1080 build, this thing will just run perfectly. The storage is going to be a hard disk drive. The hard disk drive I picked is just a 1 terabyte version. You can get 2 terabytes and 4 terabytes, but this one's a 7200 RPM hard disk drive, and this thing just big data, whole games library on there, and you've also got the option to expand and add an SSD. The case is the Fractal Design Core 1100 Micro ATX case. This thing is crazy cheap, £23 in the UK. You can't go wrong. Simple, elegant. It's got a disc tray if you like that, loads of room, and just lots of cooling space so you can have a big cooler. And yeah, mainly for the price, £23. Perfect. The power supply is the EVGA 580 plus bronze certified ATX power supply. This thing's only £40 in the UK. That's actually quite steep. I've seen it cheaper than that, but it's just a cheap, standard build. I've seen this thing all over the internet. Very popular, and the reason it's popular is because it's so cheap and it does the job. If you stuck a 970 in this, it would work tomorrow. It's got enough headroom, so that's why it's a great sort of part to this build. And finally, the graphics card that I'm picking with this build is the RX 480. This thing is really quite a good balance of investment and FPS. You've got a big part of your budget in this. It's £212, but it will return on the investment because it will be doing the majority of the workload. It's going to be the part that pushes this thing over 60 FPS in most games, and you're going to get an amazing experience from this. If you build this console, you won't regret it. It will be solid and it will last for years. Super fast single threaded application performance, and gaming will just be smooth. You'll get very, very pleasant experience with it. And a final note: if you want a cheap, just elegant, simple monitor, the Asus VC23 9H 23-inch monitor is a pretty solid all-round monitor. Slim bezels and $117.95. That's not been added into the price, but it's just a little recommendation. Okay, guys, that's my build log. If you guys want any more, subscribe and like this video, and I will make more. See you around, and thank you for listening.